County Board of Adjustment, and we'll begin with a few introductory comments. As a courtesy to everyone here tonight, please make sure your cell phones are turned off. The Commission will first meet as the Board of Adjustment to consider item 1, which is the approval of minutes of the February 23rd meeting, and item 2, which is a request for a variance. After item 2, the Board will reconvene as the Planning Commission. Action taken on a variance may be appealed to the Circuit Court in a manner and form as provided by the statutes of the State of South Dakota. At this time, I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Board of Adjustment. Item 1 is approval of the minutes from the February 23rd, 2015 meeting.
Second.
Motion and second to approve the minutes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 2, we'll have a staff report on it.
Good evening, Commissioners. David Heinold, Minnehaha County Planning Department. We received a variance application from petitioners Ron Jensen, property owners James Krytel. Skip forward, as you can see, the property is outlined in red here as I move around that. They're requesting a variance from the front yard setback along Lindbergh Avenue with an existing right-of-way that's about 30 feet wide. To allow improvement of an existing or non-existent substandard public right-of-way. Requested variance is necessary to provide an additional 36-foot dedicated public right-of-way for future improvement of Lindbergh Avenue, and it's required by the zoning ordinance, subdivision ordinance. Petitioner and the property owner have agreed to offset. Skip forward here. This is looking south along that property line, right at the tree line, as you can see, which would potentially be shifted about 10 to 12 feet, or 20 feet this way. The variance for the first lot along the highway right there is 20 feet. This would be that setback right here. It's just looking straight on the image there. This is looking from the south edge of the property line of where that public right-of-way was, Berry Lane. Just as I've discovered, it's just a water main easement for future improvement. Just look over here. This would be a 10-foot setback on that subject parcel on the south side. Is roughly be where that would be at. This is petitioner's mobile home, and there's a garage on that lot. This is that Lindbergh Avenue right-of-way. As I mentioned, it's an existing dedicated 30-foot right-of-way right now. And as you can see, to the right of this image is the Renner Sanitary District. They put in a substation right at the edge of Lindbergh Avenue, or that 30-foot right-of-way. So the variance is to minimize the amount of deflection where the road would have to come through here. And the petitioner and property owner have agreed, as set forth in the narrative, to deflect the road just barely this way. Skip forward here, this is just showing head on. Just some of the things that the Zoning Board of Adjustment should take into consideration when determining a variance. Should not vary the regulations unless it shall make findings based upon the evidence presented to it in each specific case that all of the following conditions are present, that specific circumstances or conditions such as exceptional narrowness, topography, or siting exists. The two lots were originally platted with a minimum road right-of-way requirement, unlike the present 66-foot width for subdivision roads. And there is an existing sanitary sewer lift station that I showed in some of the pictures that cannot be reasonably relocated, abutting the east side of the current 30-foot Lindbergh Avenue right-of-way. B, that the variance does not grant a use which is otherwise excluded from that particular district or diminish or impair property values within the area. The reduced front yard setback will not permit a use not permitted in the zoning district or diminish property values in the area. However, the variance will allow the expansion of an existing substandard road right-of-way to be in conformance with the subdivision ordinance. C, that due to a specific circumstance or existing condition, strict application of the zoning ordinance would be an unwarranted hardship. The existing detached garage on Lot 3A was built in 2002 with 30-foot setback from Lindbergh Avenue right-of-way. Petitioner stated that the variance is necessary to accommodate the minimization of the amount of road deflection, which is needed to avoid conflicts with both the existing sanitary sewer lift station parcel as well as the buildings on that lot. D, that the granting of a variance is not contrary to the public interest and is in harmony with the general purpose and intent of the zoning ordinance. The proposed front yard setbacks would negate the subdivision ordinance requirement for corner lots to have extra width to permit adequate building setbacks for both roads, but the ordinance also states that curved interior lot lines are prohibited. The petitioner mentioned that the property owner of the subject part indicated that he supports the right-of-way offset because removing the existing trees, as you can see in the image there, would be an improvement to the property. Building the road as straight as possible to minimize the amount of deflection onto his property. And last, E, that because of circumstances or conditions, there's no possibility that the property can be developed in strict conformity with the provisions of the zoning regulations, that the authorization of a variance is therefore necessary to enable reasonable use of the property. The two subject properties have already been developed to the west, and the lot to the east is currently developing commercial business opportunities of key rural service area. The increase in the minimum standard for roadway width creates an undue hardship on the property owners of both sides of the Lindbergh Avenue right-of-way. The existing right-of-way is already within the minimum 660-foot setback as set forth from highway design in terms of how close accesses can be to the intersection approaches of two major highways. Therefore, the petitioner would be unable to locate the proposed 66-foot road right-of-way much closer to the intersection as it already existed in the existing approach of Lindbergh Avenue. Thus, staff believes that it would be in the best interest of the public to authorize the variance to encourage and promote commercial development and expansion of existing rural service area, as well as to provide secondary access to the corner lot 4A. Staff finds that the requested variance meets the provisions in Article 21, the 1990 revised zoning ordinance for Minnehaha County, and recommends approval of variance 1502. So if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Commissioners, yes, Jim?
So the trees that we see in the distance there on the left, those are going to stay, or they're going to move, or?
What was indicated in the narrative is that the trees would be removed.
Okay, and the tree on the right, the one without any leaves on it, is that also in that?
You'd have to check with the petitioner, I'm not sure on that tree.
And just looking at it, I see some telephone box on the left with the, is that going to have to be relocated?
I would imagine so, the road at some point.
Thank you.
Mr. Commissioner, say, the map that you show from the engineering firm, does that show the deflection of the street? That's what that's attempting to show? Actually, had a map of an engineer?
Well, the map that I included in your packet just shows that minimum deflection with the variance.
Okay,
So that,
thank you.
If I'm not really clear, what will the front yard setback be? Because the recommendation is just to approve a reduction, but I don't know until what. I think it would be best maybe if we do approve this, that we specify what it is, so it doesn't get smaller even than what we intended.
so the lot right here, the variance request is to reduce it to 10 feet.
To 10 feet.
And
the
so
front
on this
yard will be
lot,
10.
it'd be 20.
The front yard will be 20? It's
On
going to be
this,
reduced by 10?
this
and
lot
it
to
will
the
be
south is 20,
Okay.
and the lot up here is 10.
Okay. Any other questions? Is the petitioner here then? Can you come forward, state your name and address, and explain what you're doing?
Well, Ron Jensen, petitioner there. And the address of the property is 25804 Lindbergh Avenue.
Do you have anything that you wanted to add? Do you know about that tree? What will happen to the tree that's?
The
was in the
trees on
picture?
both sides are too close to the road
Both
to
of them.
be able to
Okay.
stay. But we do plan on planting new trees on both sides when we're complete with the road, so.
Okay. Any questions for the petitioner? Thank you. Is there anyone else here that would like to speak to this item? What's your wishes?
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
So going back to this engineering diagram,
Mhm.
this little knockout, is that the rounded sewer outlet, is that?
That's the lift station.
Okay. And that'll be part of the public right away? Doesn't belong to anybody?
Well, it's, I think it's a separate lot, or it's legally described out as.
Is it
the
H
south-
lot or something?
It's the, I think I can read it here, the south 25 feet of the west 25 feet of lot 1. So it's a 25 by 25 foot piece of property that's already been described out.
And as far as we know, as far as the Renner sewer system, this is all fine.
Yeah, yeah. They don't want to move the lift stations.
Well, of course they don't. I'd work with
Second?
There's motion second to approve. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those same sign, motion carries. Is there a motion to adjourn the zoning board of adjustment?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those same sign, we are adjourned. And then at this time, I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Minnehaha County Planning Commission. And the